In the sky, where only the fastest and fiercest survive, a legend roars across the clouds. Its scream is thunder. Its name strikes fear. It is the F-16 Fighting Falcon, a jet born in war, forged in innovation and flown by heroes. This is not just a fighter. It is a revolution with wings. Welcome to the story of the most iconic multirole fighter the world has ever seen. The 1970s were a time of intense Cold War pressure. The skies above Europe were a battleground in waiting. The United States Air Force needed a new kind of fighter, one that could dominate the dogfight, strike with precision, and survive against superior Soviet numbers. Out of that demand came Lightweight Fighter Program, a radical initiative to design a fast, agile, and affordable jet. Two aircraft entered the competition, the Northrop YF-17 and the General Dynamics YF-16. On January 20th, 1974, something incredible happened. The prototype YF-16 took off by accident during a high-speed taxi test. But what could have ended in disaster turned into a jaw-dropping display of flight. The jet soared gracefully into the sky, controlled and responsive. That unexpected flight became the first chapter in the legend of the F-16. What made the F-16 special? Everything from the start. It was a pilot's jet, designed around a concept called energy maneuverability theory. The F-16 emphasized agility, speed, and situational awareness. It had a frameless bubble canopy for perfect visibility, a side-mounted control stick for better precision, and a reclined pilot seat to help handle high G-forces. It was also the first fighter in the world to use fly-by-wire technology, meaning the jet was controlled by computers rather than traditional cables and hydraulics. This allowed it to be aerodynamically unstable on purpose, making it more maneuverable than any jet before it. The F-16 was also light. Weighing just around 20,000 pounds empty, it could still carry a massive weapons load. Air-to-air missiles, bombs, and even nuclear warheads in the engine. A single Pratt & Whitney F-100 PW 200 turbofan that could push the Falcon to speeds over Mach 2, twice the speed of sound, though officially named the Fighting Falcon. Pilots quickly gave a more aggressive nickname, the Viper. They said it looked like a snake ready to strike, sleek, deadly, and fast. The F-16 entered service with the U.S. Air Force in 1979, and it quickly became the backbone of NATO air power. Its first combat experience came during the 1981 Israeli strike on the Osirak nuclear reactor in Iraq, a daring mission that showed the F-16's incredible range, accuracy, and survivability. From there, the Viper would fly in conflicts across the globe, from Desert Storm to Operation Allied Force, from Iraq to Afghanistan, and many more combat missions and dogfights, upgrades and block variants, global operators and export success, real pilot stories, modern relevance and future. The F-16 didn't stay a rookie for long. Its first real test came during Operation Opera in 1981, when Israeli Air Force F-16s flew over 600 miles into Iraqi airspace and destroyed the Osirak nuclear reactor with pinpoint bombs. It was a mission the world said couldn't be done, but the F-16 proved them wrong. Then came Operation Desert Storm 1991. In the skies over Iraq, the F-16s flew more sorties than any other aircraft. They struck enemy radar, tanks, missile batteries, and supply lines with deadly precision. Flying in tight formation, the Vipers danced through enemy fire like ghosts, fast, agile, lethal. In the Balkans during the 1990s, F-16s enforced no-fly zones and carried out NATO bombing missions over Bosnia and Kosovo, often under intense anti-aircraft fire. One famous case, Captain Scott O'Grady, whose F-16 was shot down over Bosnia in 1995. He ejected and survived in enemy territory for 6 days before being rescued, a story that became a symbol of F-16 pilots' bravery and resilience. After September 11, the F-16 played a critical role in the global war on terror. Whether over the desert of Iraq or the mountains of Afghanistan, F-16s provided close air support, dropping precision-guided bombs to assist ground troops in dangerous firefights. Its combat record, outstanding. Few aircraft in history have flown more missions with such consistency and effectiveness. The F-16 didn't stay the same. Over the decades, it evolved, growing smarter, stronger, and more deadly with each version. Each generation of upgrades is called a block. Let's explore a few key ones. Block 15, 1980s introduced the Advanced Fighter Maneuvering System and improved radar block 30 seconds. Late 1980s gave the F-16 a choice between G or Pratt and Whitney engines, boosting thrust and reliability. Block 4042, 1990s integrated Lantern pods for night and low-altitude strikes. Block 5052, enhanced suppression of enemy air defenses, SCAD capability with the HARM missile system. Block 60, for UAE, a major leap of conformal fuel tanks, AESA radar, and infrared targeting pods. Block 70 seconds, F-16V, the most advanced version today, with APG, 83 ASA radar, a new mission computer, modern cockpit displays, and improved avionics. These upgrades have kept the F-16 relevant in the 21st century, even as fifth-generation jets like the F-35 emerge here, where the F-16 truly becomes a legend. Over 4,600 aircraft have been built since 1974. It is used by over 25 countries, making it one of the most successful fighter exports in history. Let's take a quick flight around the globe. United States, the original user and still a major operator, especially in the Air National Guard Israel, with the most aerial kills in F-16 history, including strikes on nuclear facilities and enemy fighters. Turkey, one of the largest F-16 fleets, and even produces jets under license. Pakistan, used effectively in multiple air skirmishes, including the 2019 incident with India, Egypt, Greece, South Korea, Taiwan, UAE, Poland, Bahrain, all major operators who rely on the F-16 for air defense and strike capabilities. India, while not a current user, has evaluated the F-16 multiple times under its fighter procurement programs. Even NATO training programs use F-16s as mock enemies for pilots to train against. That's how versatile and respected this jet is. F-16 in dogfights, stories from real pilots, iconic paint schemes and air shows, why it's called the People's Fighter Jet, and how it's still fighting even 50 years later. The F-16 wasn't just a bomb truck. It was also a dogfighter, agile, quick, and designed for air-to-air supremacy. During exercises like Red Flag and Top Gun, pilots flying the F-16 often dominated mock dogfights. It could turn tighter, climb faster, and accelerate out of danger quicker than most of its adversaries. The Viper became the benchmark for air combat training. One of the most famous F-16 dogfights occurred on June 8, 1981, when Israeli pilot Amos Lapid flew his F-16 into heavily defended Iraqi airspace to bomb the Osirak nuclear facility. Iraqi MiG-21 scrambled to intercept, but they were too slow. The Viper struck, dodged flak, and escaped without a scratch. That mission changed the balance of power in the region and showed the world what the F-16 could do. In 1992, USAF pilot Captain John Boyd shot down an Iraqi MiG-25 during Operation Southern Watch, using an F-16. It was one of the rare times a fourth-generation jet took down a fast, high-flying Foxbat. Another gripping moment came in 2006, when a Greek F-16 collided midair with a Turkish F-16 during a disputed interception over the Aegean Sea. The Greek pilot died, but the Turkish pilot managed to eject and survive, a tragic reminder of how tense and dangerous even peacetime patrols can be. What's it like to fly the F-16? Many pilots describe it in one word: alive. The cockpit design is called HOTAS, hands on throttle and stick, meaning the pilot can control nearly everything without moving their hands away. The view? A 360-degree bubble canopy, like sitting in a fishbowl, perfect for dogfighting and situational awareness. One USAF pilot once said, "Flying the F-16 is like wearing wings. It responds instantly to your touch. It's not just a machine. It's an extension of your body. The G-forces can reach 9 GS, pressing the pilot into the seat with 9 times their body weight. That's why the seat is tilted 30 degrees, to help blood stay in the head during sharp maneuvers. In interviews, Viper pilots often say the aircraft feels trustworthy. Whether it's landing in bad weather or defending a wingman under fire, the F-16 delivers. Beyond the battlefield, the F-16 is a symbol. At air shows, few jets draw cheers like the F-16. The USAF Thunderbirds, America's elite demonstration team, fly F-16s in tight formation, just inches apart, at nearly 700 miles per hour. Its thunderous roar, vapor trails, and dramatic climbs make it the star of every sky show, from Paris to Dubai to Bangalore. Over the years, F-16s have sported iconic paint schemes of tiger meat colors in Europe, bright stripes symbolizing squadron pride, anniversary liveries with national flags and historical emblems, aggressor paint schemes mimicking enemy jets for training purposes. In video games, movies, and documentaries, the F-16 appears again and again, a sign of its place in pop culture and aviation history. Why do people call the F-16 the people's fighter? Because unlike elite stealth jets, the F-16 was designed to be affordable, reliable, and accessible. It gave smaller nations a way to defend themselves with a world-class jet. It could take off from short runways, fly long hours, carry many weapons, and be maintained in tough environments. The unit cost? Around $30 million to $40 million. Far cheaper than an F-35 or Eurofighter. Its maintenance hours per flight hour are low, and spare parts are available globally. That's why it's so widely adopted, even decades after its first flight. Whether protecting American borders, patrolling over Eastern Europe, or striking terrorists in the Middle East, the F-16 remains the frontline fighter of the people. The F-16's future and modern production, rivalry with F-35 and 5th-gen fighters, secret missions and little-known facts, final legacy, why the Viper will never die. You might think that an aircraft designed in the 1970s would be outdated by now, but the F-16, it's still being built brand new, with modern technology for 21st century warfare in 2023. Lockheed Martin opened a new F-16 production line in Greenville, South Carolina. The current version, known as the F-16 Block 7072 or F-16V for Viper, features upgrades that make it almost unrecognizable from the original 1978 version ASA radar APG-83, allows long-range target detection and tracking of multiple enemies, advanced mission computer and avionics, rivaling even some 5th-gen systems. Glass cockpit, with large digital displays and modern controls. Conformal fuel tanks, for longer range without reducing weapon capacity. Data link systems Link 16, for network-centric warfare. Modern electronic warfare systems, to jam or deceive enemy radars. Nations like Bahrain, Slovakia, Bulgaria, Taiwan, and Jordan have ordered these latest models, ensuring the F-16 will fly well into the 2060s throughout its service. The F-16 has faced numerous rivals, some from friendly skies, others from enemy radars. Let's break down the key comparisons. F-16 versus MiG-29, a classic Cold War matchup. The MiG-29 had better thrust and short-range missiles, but the F-16 had superior avionics, better pilot visibility, and greater agility in real combat scenarios. In NATO exercises and real dogfights, the F-16 often came out on top. F-16 versus F/A-18 Hornet. Both jets served the U.S. military well. The Hornet was a better carrier-based fighter, but the F-16 had longer range, higher speed, and better acceleration. It was also easier and cheaper to maintain. F-16 versus F-35 Lightning II. The F-35 is the future, stealthy, high-tech, and powerful. But the F-16 is faster, cheaper, and already battle-tested. That's why the F-16 is still being sold, while the F-35 is slowly replacing it in more advanced roles. The truth? They complement each other. The F-16 handles day-to-day missions, while the F-35 takes on high-risk operations in contested airspace. The F-16 has done more than what's written in the news. CIA operations. F-16s were used as shadow foreign aircraft and test radar jamming systems during Cold War operations. Mock enemies. Aggressive squadrons use F-16s painted like enemy jets to simulate dogfights for U.S. and Allied pilots. Nuclear capability. Some F-16s can carry B-61 nuclear bombs, stationed at NATO bases across Europe under U.S. control. Experimental flights. NASA even used a modified F-16 called the F-16XL to test futuristic wing designs. Though it never became operational, its data influenced future aircraft like the B-2 and F-22. F-16N and F-16 AFTI, special variants used for training Top Gun pilots and testing artificial intelligence flight systems. The more you dig, the more you realize the F-16's legacy reaches far beyond the battlefield. So, what makes the F-16 Fighting Falcon a legend? It was the first jet to fly by wire and use energy maneuvering in real combat. It's been used by over 25 nations in dozens of conflicts across 5 continents. It has flown more than 13 million flight hours and will continue for decades. It has saved thousands of lives in war and defense and in peacekeeping. But more than its technology or combat record, the F-16 represents a philosophy. Make it fast, make it affordable, make it fly like a dream, and give it to the pilot who needs it the most. That's why even today, when stealth and drones rule the skies, the F-16 is still soaring, still fighting, still feared. The Viper, as pilots proudly call it, isn't just a jet. It's a symbol of American ingenuity, of global partnership, of air power made simple and deadly. As the F-16 turns 50, its story is far from over. New models are being built, new pilots are being trained, new missions await. Whether in the skies of Ukraine, the deserts of Middle East, or the high-altitude tensions of Asia, the Fighting Falcon remains ready fast. Agile, fearless, timeless, this is the F-16, the people's fighter jet.